Welcome back, Schmoedown fans. It is episode number 43 of Talkin Schmoedown. Season 6, the Magic season, has officially ended. The Schmoedown Spectacular was fantastic, and we are getting into some awesome stuff. I'm going to be talking a lot about the draft. I'm going to be talking about the upcoming awards, and maybe a little bit of other stuff. So let's get into things, all right? I am super excited, and I hope you are too. So let's get ready to talk Schmoedown.
Let's get ready to Schmoedown!
Alright everybody, welcome back to Talkin Schmoedown. I am Josh the Merc Rainer, owner of Merc and Movie Blog, and this is episode number 43 of Talkin Schmoedown. As you guys may know, if you've been following me on Twitter, I came down with a pretty bad case of bronchitis last week, so I was not able to do an episode last week, but I promised I would get one out this week. I'm still not at 100%, but I'm going to get this episode done. There's some great stuff I want to talk about, some interesting information that has dropped over the last few days even, so I'm glad that I'm here doing this episode today. So first off, on a bit of a somber note, I wanted to take a moment of silence for Karen Volpe. She passed away recently. She was the wife of Paul Preston. This was sad. She was battling cancer, and it finally got the best of her, unfortunately. She was a fantastic person, hilarious, and she will definitely be missed. So I'd like to take a moment of silence for Karen. All right. And my condolences and my thoughts and well wishes go out to Paul Preston and all of his and Karen's friends and family. I know this is a difficult time, but I'm here for you, Paul, if you ever need anything. So please reach out. Love you, guy. So let's get into things. There's really no good way to transition out of that. So let's just kind of get into things. So it was announced that the undercard for the Season 7 opener in New York will be Andrew Guy versus Robert Meyer Burnett. This came about on episode, I believe it was either SEN Live or Backstage, where Ben officially gave his choice for Andrew Guy's opponent. He won this opportunity to do so at the Houston Live event when he beat Andrew Guy. The stipulation was that if Ben won, he would get to choose Guy's next singles opponent, and that is going to be Robert Meyer Burnett. Now, some of you may be like, well, he's a manager. How does this work with the draft and everything? During that episode, Christian made it clear that this was a one-time thing, that managers are not going to be competing, but that this will still count toward the points that will be accumulated during the draft. So this is a special case because Ben had the opportunity to choose who he got. And the main event for that show will be Mara Kanopik versus Kevin Smets for the Inner Geekdom title. I am super excited for this. This is actually I'm going to be at this live event. So any of you going to the New York live event, please make sure to look out for me. I'm kind of a big guy, long black curly hair with glasses. You can't miss me. It's going to be fantastic. It's my first live event, so I am super excited. And I think this is a great card to have for this event. Also announced, Christian announced on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook page that William Bibiani versus Paul Oyama will face off against one another in a number one contenders match in Season 7, and that will determine who will face Ben Bateman for the title in Atlanta. The Atlanta live show is February 29th, so this William Bibiani versus Paul Oyama match will happen, obviously, sometime inside that first month of Season 7. So speaking of the Atlanta live show, like I said, it's going to be Ben Bateman's first title defense versus either William Bibiani or Paul Oyama for the singles title. And we will also be getting Alex Damon versus Emily the Rose Jacobson in an Inner Geekdom match. That's right, Alex Damon officially entering the Inner Geekdom division. This will be his first match, so I am really excited to see how well he does in Inner Geekdom. This was actually revealed, the fact that Damon is going to be on the undercard was revealed during like a random walk around live stream kind of thing that Christian did. He was like walking through his neighborhood, just like I said, just going for a walk, and he decided to do a live stream. And this is where he actually revealed that Alex Damon would be on the undercard of the Atlanta show, competing in the Inner Geekdom division. And then they wound up posting the official poster for the Atlanta show, and it showed Alex Damon going up against Emily Jacobson. So I'm pretty excited for this. I think I'm really excited to see how well he does outside of just Star Wars. Obviously, there are Star Wars questions that I'm sure he will get instantly, but it's all about how much does he know of these other categories. So yeah, I think it'll be fascinating to see. And also, speaking of Alex Damon, the Alex Damon train just keeps on rolling, as during a live Twitch session, former Star Wars champ Sam Witwer confirmed that he will not be returning to the Schmoedown to battle Alex for the title. He said that when he did this, when he first got into the Schmoedown, he didn't realize that he would have to continuously defend the title. He thought it was, you come in, oh yeah, he won this event, so you were the champ of this event, and that would be the end of it. He didn't realize that he would have to be there continuously to defend, and that's not something that his schedule can permit. So he I guess he's been asked a lot lately, so he made a definitive statement that he is not going to be coming back to the Schmoedown to face off for that title. And I mean, I was a little bit bummed to hear this, but honestly, I think it's probably for the best. If you're not fully into it, if you're not, committed, then it's not gonna be that great. You're gonna see, yeah, maybe he'll win, but he's not really invested. And someone like Alex Damon, he's invested. You see that. And honestly, I want to see Laura Kelly get her shot again. So I'm hoping to see that soon. Another thing that Christian announced, a while back, he announced that there was going to be a rule book for all the competitors, like an actual physical book that has all the rules of the Schmoedown and everything, so that the competitors know exactly, how things will be worked, and it'll help with challenges and this, that, and the other. However, he did announce that it would not be available for fans. I'm really bummed about this, and me and Jay Wade, who's the host of SCN Afterlife, we've actually had a discussion about this a few times, about how Christian wants this league to be more like a sport. And he's even said it was either SCN Live or on Schmoedown Backstage, that he's not like the biggest fan of all the elaborate entrances, and that he prefers the more simple stuff. Like, for instance, at Spectacular, John Roca coming out sick. That's what he considers the best entrance of the year. And I'm like, no, because he wants it more like a sport. When I talked about it with Jay, I compared it to, he wants it to be more like boxing, which is a sport, as opposed to wrestling, which is sports entertainment. And when he started this, he always compared it to wrestling. And it seems like he's kind of pushing away from that and wanting it to be more like a sport, even though he's still heavy in the storyline, so it doesn't make sense. But if you want it to be like a actual sport, then the rules should be available for everyone who watches. Because all sports, football, baseball, all that stuff, the rules are there and they are available for the fans to see. So I think that the rule book should be available for the fans. Maybe he doesn't see it this way, and in the end, it's his call. I'm just a guy out here talking about Schmoedown. It is what it is. But honestly, if you want it, you can't have it both ways, dude. Like, it's getting a little bit ridiculous. You flip-flop whenever it's convenient for you. If you want it to be more like a sport, then treat it more like a sport. If you want it to be more like, hell, even wrestling, people know the fucking rules, man. People know the rules of sports entertainment. So why you're hiding the rules from the fans, I don't understand. Letting the fans see these rules will definitely help prevent a whole lot of people bitching and moaning about calls that are made, because if it's clear in the book, then they got nothing. They got no ground to stand on. They can't sit there and be like, "Oh, this was a bullshit call," blah blah blah, because it's right there in the book. So, but if we don't see the book, then those things are going to continue to happen. So, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted by the choice that he's made to just keep it hush hush, like it's a big secret. No one else can know the rules outside of the game. It's like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but whatever. It is what it is. And the other thing that was recently announced, I think this was announced before my last show, but I think I left it off by accident, was that questions from the first 6 seasons will actually be begin to be recycled into new seasons. So if a question was asked in seasons 1 through 6, it could pop up again in any of the new seasons, including season 7, which I think in general is a good idea, as long as they're not just using the exact same questions every season. Really mix it up, continue to add new questions. It's just grow that bank of questions so that the things don't get so super deep that no one can really excel in this game outside of a couple of people. So I really like the idea. I've been saying that they should be doing this for a while, so I'm really glad that this is a decision that they made. All right, so now we are going to get into the draft. On Schmoedown Backstage, it was revealed that apparently there was a different manager that was supposed to be in the draft instead of Sam. But they wound up not being able to do it, and Sam was asked and brought in as the 10th manager. Now, I believe it was last episode, I mentioned that we were informed by a couple of different competitors that this was on accident. They accidentally kind of blurted it out, and I'm not going to say who it was, that Rachel Cushing was going to be the 10th manager. So, and this was, from the way Christian and Sam talked about it, it was right up to the end. Sam said he found out 36 hours before the Spectacular that it was going to be him. And so I'm wondering, I'm assuming that they were correct, that it was originally supposed to be Rachel Cushing. Something happened, she couldn't do it, which, that happens. I'm bummed. I'm really, I would have loved to have seen Rachel as a manager. I think that would have been fantastic. And so I'm sad that she wasn't able to, but I love Sam as well, and I think he'll do a fantastic job. Another thing about the draft is that it will be what is called a serpentine or a snake draft. So for those of you who don't know, what that means is they will go through their first round. So it'll be 1 through, now I will get into this later, but now it's only 9. So it'll be 1 through 9. And then for round 2, it'll start at 9 and go down to 1. And then for round 3, it'll go back to 1 and go through 9 and 9 to 1 until the whole shebang is done. So that is what a snake draft is, and that is how this one will be formatted, which I'm interested in. Fantasy drafts and things like that aren't something that I'm very familiar with. So just seeing how to, and I'm not really a big sports guy, so I don't watch the actual draft, the NBA draft or the NFL draft, anything like that. So this is one of my first real experiences with an actual draft like this, because I don't count what they do on WWE when they do their draft the same. It's very, very different. And so I don't know. I thought this was interesting, and I can't wait for the draft. It's one of my most anticipated things. And it's one of the first. It's like the first thing that's going to happen in season 7. It was also revealed on an episode of SEN Live what the draft order would be. Now, I'm going to go through all the variations of the draft order as they have come about. So this first version, there was a little bit of a hiccup at the end. So they started picking out names, and it went Winston, Shannon, Sam, Kaiser, Coy, Jay, Emma, and Tom. Now, if you're keeping track, that's only 8 out of what were originally 10. It's because right here at this point in the picking, Christian realized that there was only one name left in the hat, and there was supposed to be 2, and he realized that he left Roxy's name out of the hat. Something happened. I don't know if he forgot to put it in or if it fell out when they were shaking. Something happened, and Roxy's name wasn't in there, so they had to start completely over. So people like Winston and Shannon, who had number 1 and number 2, they don't have those anymore. So what the draft wound up being, what the picks wound up being, were number 1 was Sam Levine. He went up from number 3 to number 1. Then for number 2, we got Jay Washington, who went from 6 to 2. Number 3 was Roxy Stryer, who wasn't even on there. She wound up with number 3. Coy got number 4. He moved up a spot. Kaiser got number 5. He went down a spot. Tom got 6, went up a couple spots. Shannon got 7. Winston got 8. They went down significantly. Emma got 9, so she went down a couple spots. And Robert Meyer Burnett, who was the last name in the hat, wound up again as the last pick in the draft. So yeah, I guess it was just fated for him to not get that pick. So when I first heard this, I was like, wow. That really screwed over Winston and Emma. Now, some of the other managers, they went down like a couple spots here and there, but Winston and Shannon, they went down the most. Winston went down 7 spots. Shannon went down 5. And honestly, I think because this was not their fault, they had those spots, because this was a mistake by the chairman. Personally, and I put this out on Twitter, and I know that at least Shannon had liked it and commented that this is what should happen. But Shannon and Winston, in my opinion, should get an extra pick in that first round. Because they went down so far, they should get an extra pick. Let all the managers do their picks. Then before starting round 2, give Winston and then Shannon an extra pick. I think that's fair. It screwed them. It really did. This little mistake screwed them in the draft. And it may prevent them from getting the players that they really wanted. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think that would be fair. I think that would be good. Because honestly, no matter what, you get to a certain number of picks, then you got to stop anyways. I believe it's 10 now. Once you hit 10, that's it. Your card is full. So even if they're done picking by before some of the other people because they got that extra pick before round 2, it doesn't really matter. So I really think that that's something that should happen personally. But that's not the end of the story here. So just the other day, some big breaking news happened. I think it was actually yesterday this happened. I'm recording this on a Tuesday, and I believe this happened on Monday's episode of SEN Live. I'm gonna read the Facebook post from one of the fans in the Schmoedown Facebook page. This is what they said. It said, huge breaking Schmoedown news just announced on SEN Live with Jay Washington on as special guest. Because of Jay's commitments he has upcoming in 2020, he will not be able to manage his faction, Villains and Heroes, and instead will become a consultant on Winston's team, the Swag Squad. Who will manage Villains and Heroes faction? No one, because Jay's team is no more, and there will now only be 9 teams in total, drafting 10 players each. So I went back and I watched this part. It's literally right at the beginning of the episode. It's like it starts at like the 8-minute mark and goes until like the 15-minute mark. So it's like a 7-minute chunk right there, right at the beginning. You know, Jay talks about he's got his wrestling career is really taking off, acting's taking off, his comedy career is taking off, his hosting career is taking off, and he has a job. He's a bouncer at a nightclub. So like all of this stuff is going on in his life. That's great stuff. But it's making it so that he's not really going to be able to put in the time and effort necessary to manage this big faction for the upcoming season. But he is going to be, like he said, a consultant with Winston. So I think that's really good. Just like how Grace is now a consultant for the Fife Club with Emma, Jay will be a consultant with the Swag Squad. Now, like I said, his team is gone. He had the number 2 pick. So that pick is just gone and out of there. And everybody from 3 to 10 gets moved up a slot. Now, really, it doesn't. I mean, yes, it prevents Jay from taking somebody that maybe somebody else would have wanted, but it doesn't really change a whole lot. But it changes enough. So here's the new draft order. Number 1, you have Sam Levine with the Usual Suspects. Number 2, Roxy Stryer with the Rock Stars. Number 3, Coy Jandro with the Mouthy Mercs. Number 4, Kaiser with the Dungeon. Number 5, Tom Dagnino with the Finstock Exchange. Number 6, Shannon Barney with Corruption. Number 7, Winston Marshall with Swag Squad. Number 8, Emma Fife with the Fife Club. And number 9, Robert Meyer Burnett with the Burning Droogs. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting. It's now going to be 10 people. I guess he had changed. Okay, so from what I remember, when he first announced everything, it was 10 teams, 10 picks each. Apparently, he changed it at some point because he said during the show that it was going to go up to 10 from 8. So apparently, he had made it so that they were only going to get 8 picks. I don't remember that happening, but he said that that's what it was. So, but none of that really matters because now it's 10. It's back to 10, or is 10, or whatever the case may be. It's 9 teams. 10 players each, and I'm interested. I think it'll be fascinating. There was another important change that was announced recently by Christian on the Facebook, the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook group, and that change is that the top 5 teams in the rankings, excluding the champions, are protected because the champions are guaranteed. However, the 6 through 10 teams are no longer soft protected. So if you're a top 5, which is Corruption, The Family, Shazam, Who's the Boss, and The Odd Couple, if a manager chooses one of those players, so for instance, if someone picks Mike Kalinowski, they automatically get Chance Ellison as their second pick. They don't have a choice. If they want Mike, they got to take Chance. If they want William Bibiani, they got to take Brendan Meyer. So if a manager chooses one of those players from any of the teams in the top 5, they will automatically get their teammate for the next round pick. Now, originally Christian had contemplated with protecting teams 6 through 10 with a soft protection. So it was, from what I remember, if you picked somebody from, so let's take Time Machine for instance, because they're, I think, like number 7. If someone picked Ethan Irwin, then they would have the choice of saying, you know what, I want Time Machine to stay together. I'm going to take Janine for my next round pick, and they have that option. But if they didn't want Janine, they could just say, I just want Ethan. We'll just let that go, and someone else can have Janine. And that's what originally, the original plan for 6 through 10 was. Now, that is no longer the case. If a manager wishes to keep a current team that is 6 through 10 together, or actually now any team that's not in the top 5, like again, we'll take Time Machine for instance. If they choose Ethan Irwin and they want to keep Time Machine together, they have to hope that Janine is still available in the next round, for their next pick in the next round. If someone picks up Janine, then they're out of luck and they do not get that team. So he keeps adding stuff, man. It's making this draft more interesting. We are less than 2 weeks away. We're like a week and a half away from the draft, and things are getting crazy. So many people have made their mock drafts already, and now, like, I know Frank Janisch went on. He was like, "Oh, I gotta redo this whole thing," because they first off, there's only 9 managers now, and the 6 through 10 aren't soft protected anymore. So I don't know. It's a lot of people have to redo those mock drafts now. And speaking of a mock draft, I am going to do a sort of like a mock draft. I'm going to do my first 2-round predictions for the draft. I guess it's technically kind of a mock draft, but I'm only doing the first 2 rounds because I didn't want to get crazy into it. This is already going to be a long enough episode because I'm going to be doing the awards after all this, and I didn't want to get crazy into it. Plus, I feel like after the first few rounds, I probably could have done 4, but after the first few rounds, it gets far more difficult, I think, to really predict. Because you got a ton of newbies, you've got people who only played like 1 match here or there, so people who you don't even know whether or not they're actually going to get a chance to play or not, but they're on the roster. So, I don't know. I think that's why I'm sticking to just the first 2 rounds. So we're going to start off, number 1, Sam Levine. And I know a lot of people out there, even myself originally, said there's no way he doesn't take Drew McWeeny. That was his boy. But with it comes Andrew Guy. And it's like, does he want Andrew Guy? And the way he talked on, I think it was backstage. I cannot honestly remember for the life of me whether or not it was backstage or SCN Live. But the way he talked, he was not sure. You know, it was not a definite. So, honestly, with that first pick, I see Sam taking Shazam. William Bibiani in round 1. Brendan Meyer in round 2, taking Shazam. One of the best teams out there. I mean, they just fought at Spectacular. You know, they won the team tournament and fought against Founding Fathers. They didn't win, but they fought hard to try to get those titles. So number 2, it's Roxy Stryer taking The Odd Couple, starting with Mark Andreyko with Jeff Snyder in round 2. She has done so well with these guys, and I don't foresee her dropping them. I think it's a smart play for her to continue to take on The Odd Couple. Number 3, we've got Coy Jandreau, and his whole thing was that, you know, he wants to get the people who are good and mouthy, you know, people who can handle themselves on the mic. And that's why I see him taking Andrew Guy, and with it, Drew McWeeny, taking the family in rounds 1 and 2. Like I said, you know, Andrew Guy, he's great on the mic. He can mic it up with the best of them. And they're a damn good team. You got Drew McWeeny, who's a damn good singles player. So I think it's a smart bet that Coy takes the family in rounds 1 and 2. Then we got Kaiser. Obviously, Kaiser is keeping Kevin Smets. Kevin Smets is the champion, so that is his round 1 pick. Number 5 is Tom Dagnino. Obviously, he is taking Founding Fathers, so I have him taking Dan Murrow first, and then John Roca. I don't know if it really matters which order they take them in, but I have him taking Founding Fathers first, because I think you have to take your champions first. So he'll take Founding Fathers first, then Ben Bateman in round 3, Mark Riley in round 4, because Ben and Mark are protected because they're in the top 5 for a team. So because Ben is a champion, Tom gets to keep him, and because him and Mark are team, he also gets to keep Mark. So all of the horsemen get to stay together, which I think is awesome. Though I am sad that it's the team name's not the Horsemen, but you know, if he had lost all those people, then it kind of wouldn't make as much sense. So I guess there'll be kind of like a little inception. You have the Founding Fathers and Who's the Boss within the Horsemen, within the Finstock Exchange. It's a little inception-y, But no matter what, that's a lock for Tom. His first 4 rounds are locked up tight, and we're not going to see him again until round 5. So then we get to Shannon for pick number 6, and I have her taking Mike Kalinowski and Chance Ellison taking the team of Corruption for Corruption. There's no way that she doesn't take Mike, and I don't foresee Mike getting taken in the first 5, especially since I guess technically in the first 3, as Tom and Kaiser have to take their champions. Actually, I don't know if they have to, but they're going to. There's no way that they would drop their champs. And the only person I could really see taking on Mike is maybe Coy. However, I think he's got other plans. I don't think you need to take a Mike Kalinowski and a Chance Ellison when you could take something like the family. I don't know. I really think that Shannon's going to luck out here and get Mike and Chance to stay in Corruption. So then we've got pick number 7, which is Winston Marshall. And I have him taking Ethan Irwin. Now, again, like I said, Time Machine is not protected. So, if no one takes Janine, theoretically he could pick her up later on. But who knows what's going to happen. Then we've got number 8, which is Emma. I got her taking Mara Knopik. And number 9, Robert Meyer Burnett taking the former singles champion, Paul Oyama. I really could see this happening. He is someone who wants winners. He wants someone who I guarantee you he would prefer to have heels who are good on the mic and things like that, who can do what he wants them to do. And I think Paul really would fit in well with Robert Meyer Burnett. And that's the end of round 1. So now, because it is a snake draft, the entire order is flipped, and Robert Meyer Burnett gets a second pick right after. And I have him going for another Paul Preston. Yes, this guy has really shown how good he is in this league, and I think it would be a mistake for Burnett not to pick up someone like a Paul Preston. I think, again, he would fit well in with this. And maybe he'll be able to pick up Adam Witt and keep the movie guys together. I don't know. We'll see. So then for number 11, I've got Emma again, picking up Alex Damon. Now, I know what you may be saying. Well, Alex Damon, he's going to be an Inner Geekdom person now, too. Yes, that is true, but he's also a Star Wars champ. And, he'll probably have to defend a couple of times at least, so you'll have some good stuff there. You got a champ on your team. And, yes, you'll have both Mara and Alex Damon, who may eventually wind up facing off against one another. But if you got 2 powerhouse players, man, even if they're in the same, you're going to have powerhouse players in singles. You're going to have teammates who are in singles fighting against each other. You may have multiple teams who wind up fighting against each other. It's going to happen when you have a 10-person faction. There's no way around it. So the way I looked at it, these are 2 of the best in Inner Geekdom, and then and one of them is also the Star Wars champ. So Mara's a former Inner Geekdom champ. She may become that Inner Geekdom champ again. So that's why I say Mark Knopik and Alex Damon are going to be part of the Fife Club. Then we get to Winston, and I see Winston taking Jay's advice and picking up Janine the Machine. Keeping Time Machine together, keeping that crew together, I really could see that. There are a lot of options out there. I think originally I had Winston picking up, because I had Jay taking Ethan and Janine before everything happened, before all the announcements happened, and the 6 through 10 wasn't protected, and we lost Jay and all this other stuff. So I had Winston at one point taking Lon Harris. So, that could happen. But I have a feeling we may see Jay convince Winston to take Janine as long as she's still available. Then we get Shannon, who's going to have chance because she took Mike in the first place. You have Tom, who's going to wind up with Roka. Then we are going to have... This is actually the last pick that's not guaranteed because... So the next one up is Kaiser, and then we have Coy, Roxy, and Sam. Coy will have Drew McWeeny because he picked the family. Roxy will have Jeff Snyder because she picked The Odd Couple. Sam will have Brendan Meyer because he picked Shazam. So Kaiser, I have... Maybe this is a dark horse pick. I don't know. But I see a lot of talent in this player and have a lot of hope for her in Season 7. And that is the amazing Rachel Silvestrini. That's right. So Rachel Silvestrini joining the dungeon. That's what I see happening. And I really hope it goes down that way. So that's my first 2 rounds for the draft. I'm going to go real quick go over it. So we have Sam Levine and the usual suspects taking Shazam, both William Bibiani and Brendan Meyer. We have Roxy Stryer and the Rock Stars taking The Odd Couple, Mark Andreyko and Jeff Snyder. We have Coy Jandro of the Mouthy Mercs taking The Family, Andrew Guy and Drew McWeeny. I have Kaiser of the Dungeon taking Kevin Smets and Rachel Silvestrini. Shannon Barney of Corruption taking the team of Corruption, Mike Kalinowski and Chance Ellison. Winston Marshall taking Ethan Irwin and Janine the Machine, keeping Time Machine together. Emma taking Mara Knopik and Alex Damon. And Robert Meyer Burnett taking Paul Oyama and Paul Preston. I think that's a solid first 2 rounds. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know what your picks are. I'm going to post my picks on Twitter as well. But yeah, hop on over to Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. That's MovieBlogMerc. MovieBlogMerc. And let me know what your picks are. Let me know what you thought of my picks. Are they way off base? Are they pretty close to what you got? Obviously, some of them are guaranteed. But, some of the other picks, who knows what's going to happen. But I think it's pretty solid. So let me know what you guys thought of all that. All right, and before we get into the awards, I'm going to take a quick break for some ads, some promos for some of the other shows here on Merc with the Movie Blog. So enjoy.
Hello everybody, Jay Wade
and Kaylin here
to tell you about SEN Afterlive.
It's an after-show podcast where we expand on the week of craziness on SEN Live, as well as have guests on to join in the fun.
Yep, and we get personal too. We do movie reviews, and at times we go way off the rails, which I guarantee is always Kaylin's fault.
Hey, how rude and not true. So, come join us on the Merc with the Movie Blog feed, and remember to rate, share, and subscribe, and as always, enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's names, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie Blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, Sean and Wade here to tell you about our new review show following each episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian.
Dude, yes, Boba Fett!
Not exactly, Wade. Set in the Star Wars universe, The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi and follows a Mandalorian bounty hunter beyond the reaches of the New Republic.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Did you even watch Return of the Jedi? Never mind. Join us here every week on the Merc with the Movie Blog feed. Thank God Kaylin will be here too. I don't think I can handle Wade on my own.
Hey, it's Sarah, and I'd like to tell you about Afterlife. It's a weekly Collider Live after show podcast where Mike, Sean, and I give our takes on Roxy and Dorena's antics, on Yodi's producing skills, and whatever Cody and Alex are up to in that booth. In addition to having guests, we expand on the crew's discussions and add our own craziness scenes. You can find the show on Merc and Movie Blog feed on all the podcasting platforms. See you soon.
All right. And we are back. Please make sure to check out all those great shows right here on Merc with a Movie Blog. And now that the draft talk is over, we are going to get into the awards. So the award nominations had dropped. I think still technically you can vote if you are a patron. I believe you can vote up until Thursday. So if you have not done so, please get out there and do that. At the awards, it was announced that at this year's Schmoedown Awards, Mark Ellis will be presenting all of the awards. I know, like, in previous years, they've done, like, other award shows where they have, like, a presenter come up, and they present that award, and then a different so apparently now, I think it's to save time, it's just going to be Mark Ellis going up and presenting all of the awards. And since they're doing the awards and the draft on the same night, at the same event, I think that's probably a good idea. You don't want to be there for 6 hours for an awards and draft show. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe it'd be cool. But there's not going to be matches or anything, so I think doing it this way, if you can streamline it a little bit, is definitely beneficial. For entrances, it was announced that they're going to announce all the nominees and have both winners come up at the same time, I guess. So, I mean, that's interesting. I guess it's another time saver kind of thing. I also heard that, I don't know if this was confirmed, but I remember hearing that they might do some off camera, like before the show, and then just kind of like how they do some of the technical awards occasionally at the Oscars, and then just share. I really hope they don't, though. I want to see all of it, to be honest with you. I'm one of those people who would rather sit through the entire award show and see it all than not. So, I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. And it was announced that this year's Yodi Award will go to the Shire Wolves. So I think that's a fantastic pick. First, it was Mark Yodi Riley, for who the award is named after. Then last year was John Schnepp, rest in peace, big guy. And this year, the Shire Wolves. Great company for all three of these awards, which I find funny just because, like, Riley got it, but he's not retired anymore. He came out of retirement. So it was kind of interesting, but it's essentially like a Lifetime Achievement Award kind of a thing, and the Shire Wolves absolutely deserve the Yodi this year. So we are going to get into the official nominations and my picks for the 2019 Schmoedown Awards. I guess maybe they will call it the 2020 Schmoedown Awards. I don't know how they're going to, because it takes place in 2020, but it's for the 2019. Whatever. We'll see what they decide to call it. All right. So first off, best entrance by an individual. We got Greg Elba, Free For All, A Star Is Born entrance. Jeff Snyder, Free For All, Bear Jew entrance. John Roca, Sick Game. Roca shows up last minute through the audience to defend his team belts with Dan Murrell. Andrew DiMolanta flies an X-Wing in against Laura Kelly. Rachel Cushing, San Diego, Lord of the Rings original music badass championship stroll to the ring with Clark Wolf. And William Bibiani, Love Actually versus Chance. So my pick for best entrance, I chose William Bibiani and the Love Actually entrance. I love that one. He does some of the greatest entrances. I was really torn between that and the Rachel Cushing one. And right behind the two of them was the Andrew DiMolanta one. I don't see John Roca's entrance as a best entrance of the year. I do not agree with Christian at all on this. It was a great moment of the year, sure. That's totally a great moment. But as an entrance, nah. I don't think so. I honestly don't even think it should be on this list. But, whatever. I don't make up the nominations. If I made up the nominations, this show would be on Podcast of the Year, the final nomination list. It was on the pre-nomination list, which I was very thankful for. I thought that was great. Just obviously didn't get enough pre-noms in order to get on the main nom list. So it is what it is. I have to bust my ass for next year and try and get on that list. We'll see how it goes. So next up is best entrance by teams. We've got Crimson Fury for Tim Franco revealed as the mystery partner. Shire Wolves with the Thelma and Louise entrance versus critically acclaimed. The Looney Bin for their debut. Shazam, for Shazam Pretends They Are Announcers, and Scream Queen's entrance versus Odd Couple, the Scream, and then they kill Sam Levine, which was great. I picked Shazam and They Pretend They Are Announcers. This was one of my favorite entrances that they've ever done, let alone of the year. I love this one. I was very close to picking the Shire Wolf, Selma and Louise one, which was great. And then my third behind that was the Scream Queens one, which is, I'm a sucker for the movie Scream, and I loved what they did. And they killing Sam Levine, I thought that was really fun. But yeah, so I went with Shazam for pretending to be the announcers. I thought it was very unique, and I really dug it. So next up is Inner Geekdom / Star Wars Player of the Year. We've got Kevin Smets, Mike Kalinowski, Rachel Cushing, Alex Damon, and Chandru the Chosen. And to me, there was absolutely no question about it. It's Kevin Smets. This guy, he's the current Inner Geekdom champion. 6 Inner Geekdom victories in his rookie season. He went 6-1 with 5 knockouts. Won the title at Spectacular, defeating Mike Kalinowski. This guy he came into this league and just went on a run. And then he hit the wall that is Mike Kalinowski. But the thing is, he almost beat him. Realistically, he beat himself by messing up that whole Spider-Man question. And then what did he do? He built himself back up. He went back out on a tear, got back up, faced off against Kalinowski once again, and took it home and knocked Kalinowski out. So to me, he came in strong, took a bit of a tumble, came back even stronger, and finished as the champ. That right there is Rookie of the Year material. I know some people are like, we're talking about, this isn't Rookie of the Year. This is Inner Geekdom of the Year, which, no matter what, that right there, what I just described, Inner Geekdom of the Year. And I just kind of gave away who my pick for Rookie of the Year is. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But yes, all of that. I mean, if you look at like Mike Kalinowski, who's on this list, it shows, it talks about, okay, he won his second Inner Geekdom title at San Diego over Cushing and defeated Smets at Collision. And I'm just like, okay. So he had a strong start, he became double belted. But then he lost everything, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't be including the team stuff in there, but okay. So he rose up the ranks, he continued to rise up. He finally got that Inner Geekdom belt there again, after losing it, and then he lost it, and he lost it in such a bad way. He had such a bad end to the season. I don't know. Like, I love Mike Kalinowski. He is one of my favorites, but he had a bad end of the season, and it can happen to anybody. Hopefully, he can pick himself back up and really ride strong into season 7. But that's the biggest reason why he didn't get my vote for Inner Geekdom of the Year, Inner Geekdom / Star Wars Player of the Year. I have a hard time giving it to Alex, simply because he only really does a couple of matches a year, really. He did 2 title defenses, one at Chicago and one at Spectacular. Yes, he won both of those, but I don't know. Maybe if we saw more, and that's not his fault. Maybe he'll have better luck at winning this award next year. Since he'll be in Inner Geekdom, you'll see more of him doing more stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. So the next category up is Upset of the Year. We've got Riley versus Howard in the singles tournament, where Stacey Howard wins. We've got the Looney Bin versus Time Machine, the quarterfinals of the tournament, where the Looney Bin wins. Oyama versus Merle, where Oyama wins the title. The Odd Couple versus Shire Wolves, where the Odd Couple wins the title from the Shire Wolves. And Crimson Fury over Loose Cannons, where Crimson Fury beats the Loose Cannons in the tournament. Now, for me, I was looking over this list, and I'm like, there are some great upsets. Like, both the Stacey Howard ones broke my brackets. They were the first things that broke my brackets in both of them. So they were definitely big upsets for me personally. And in general, yeah, but the problem with that is, I think the biggest reason that they're upsets is because people including myself, I'm fully aware of that, underestimate Stacey Howard all the time. And I don't know, it didn't resonate as big as some of the others, like the Oyama versus Merle one. That was a big upset, and I'm sure there will be plenty of people who will vote for that. Even the Looney Bin versus Time Machine one, most people didn't see that coming. But it's the Odd Couple versus the Shire Wolves. The Shire Wolves were on a tear. They were undefeated. And going up against the Odd Couple and then losing the titles, and it was so close. So close. I think it was just like a 1 point difference. And that was so hard. Now, luckily for them, they were able to go back and essentially reverse that whole thing and get their titles back the next time they faced them. But it was a huge upset to see the Odd Couple take those titles. And so that is why they get my vote for Upset of the Year. So next up is Podcast After Show of the Year. Now, like I said, I was Talkin Schmoedown, and with Merc with the Movie Blog, was in the pre-nom. So there was like 8. I think there was like 8 in the pre-nom list. And that one mine was in there. Obviously, a lot of people, I probably don't have a huge listenership, and that's fine. For the people that do listen, thank you. I love you guys. And I hope that I bring enough interesting content for you. Feel free to let me know. Give me some suggestions of other things. Hey, just reach on out. Twitter @MovieBlogMerc. But yeah, so unfortunately I was not on this list because I would have been voting for myself, obviously. But since I was not, we have these 5 podcast after shows. We have Call to Action, Take 3, Dedicated to Art, Jaw Movies, JAW Movies, which I had never heard of until this list came out, and Abby Friel's Twitter reactions. Now, most of them do all the same stuff. They have, just like what Late to the Party did and made real popular, was full reaction. So you have the full video, and down in the bottom or in a corner or whatever, and it's you sitting there for that whole length of the video reacting to the show. And most of them do that. The one that I chose does something unique with theirs, and that's Abby Friel. She does these Twitter reactions that are just hilarious and on point, and I absolutely love them. But I've also seen her, I don't know if she still does them, but I've also seen her do actual breakdown type stuff, like what I do, but on video. So she talks about what happened, talks about the matches or whatever for the week, and includes little short video clips here and there, but it's more like what I do on video with clips, and it's something that I've thought about doing as well, because I've loved that format, and it would fit with the way I already do the show. So if I want to get into video, I think that's a great way to do it. And it's the sheer entertainment value and her uniqueness that makes me vote for her. And honestly, I think you guys should vote for her too, because I think it's fascinating. She is awesome, and I'd love to see her just come out of nowhere and take this award. It would be spectacular. No pun intended. All right. Next up is Manager of the Year. We've got Kaiser, Tom Dagnino, Roxy Stryer, Jay Washington, Ken Knapsack and Grace Hancock together, and Robert Meyer Burnett. So they all had interesting seasons this year, but the one that I originally, for most of the season, for me, it was between Roxy and Kaiser. And then Dagnino really started to creep up in there. And then right toward the end, it was like, whoa, Dagnino's doing something special here. And that is why Tom Dagnino has gotten my vote. I mean, you got Ben Bateman winning the tournament and then the singles title. You got Who's the Boss getting into the semifinals. You got the Founding Fathers winning the title and defending it at Spectacular. You have Tom Dagnino winning the manager or the draft bowl. This is fascinating stuff. And you know what? I totally forgot about Tom Dagnino's draft bowl pick. You know what? We're not even going to worry about that. We'll leave that as a surprise because I believe he can only take from either Emma or Kaiser, and Kaiser's only one slot ahead of him. So what would happen is that they would switch, and since Tom, I feel like he would have to wait until round 5 anyways before he could use it. So it's not even something that in my draft pick would work. So it doesn't really matter until round 5. Anyways, Tom Dagnino, man, like I said, he's got three champions on his team. He's got 2 mega teams, man, 2 great teams. They're both protected top 5 teams, and he won the draft bowl. He had Dan Murrell, who won the free for all. I mean, this guy put together a team and has managed a team to greatness, to epic greatness. And for that reason, Tom Dagnino deserves Manager of the Year. Next up is Babyface Team of the Year. These are the good guys in the team division. We've got Shazam, Shirewolves, Wild Berries, Founding Fathers, and the Paddington 2. There's some great choices here. I love the Shirewolves. The only issue, I really thought about picking the Shirewolves, just because they're fantastic. But they did retire halfway through the season, and so I don't know. Part of it is hard for me to pick them. I wound up going with Shazam because they have really just skyrocketed, and they are true baby faces, definitely. I mean, so are Shirewolves, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Shazam is who I definitely went with. And even if they lose, if Shirewolves pick it up, I'll be happy. My number 3 would I don't know. I was torn because I love the Wild Berries. But it's like, what are we judging this on? Is it just strictly popularities? Should we be looking at other stuff? I mean, I know it's just us voting here, so it's more so popularity. But I mean, you look at the Founding Fathers. How phenomenal they did this year. And Paddington 2, they're a great team, and they had a cool moment with Matt Hatchety kind of screwing himself. But I don't know if I would quite. They'd probably be at the bottom of my list. So yes, Shazam is who I pick for Babyface Team of the Year. And on the flip side of that, we've got the Heel Team of the Year, which are the bad guys in the team division. So we've got Corruption, The Family, Crimson Fury, The Odd Couple, and the Movie Guys. The Movie Guys, I never really thought about it. I'm like, when they said Heel Team of the Year and put Movie Guys in, I was like, really? The Movie Guys? And then I thought about it. I was like, well, they're not your typical heel. They're kind of like the douchey frat bro kind of heel, and nothing against them because that's the character that they're putting on. And they're both fantastic guys. Both Paul and Adam are wonderful human beings. But that's kind of the persona that they're putting on, and they know that. And so I don't know. I had never thought about it that way, but it does make sense. I did not pick them, however. I picked The Odd Couple. I understand, corruption, but I don't think, Chance is okay, but I wasn't feeling it. I love The Family, but, and Crimson Fury is kind of lower on that list for me as well. The Odd Couple is really who I see being the top contender for Heel Team of the Year. And next up, we have Babyface of the Year. So this is a individual player, Babyface. So we had the teams, and now we're having the individual players. So we've got The Kid, Brendan Meyer, William Bibiani, Ben Bateman, Dan Murrell, and Rachel Cushing. And again, man, for me, I have been extremely impressed with William Bibiani this year. And so he has gotten a lot of votes from me throughout the year, not just here, but throughout the year. I was betting on him for both of the tournaments, and he came real close in both. I mean, he made it into that final match of both of them and won one of them. And he's really impressed me this year. So yeah, I gave it to William Bibiani for Babyface of the Year. And then on the flip side, we got Heel of the Year with Andrew Guy, Robert Meyer Burnett, Mike Kalinowski, Kaiser, and Grace Hancock. And hands down, like some people may say it's Andrew Guy. Nah, it is Mike Kalinowski. His heel game has been something special this year. Everything that he has done has been some special stuff. I loved I was a Mike Kalinowski fan even when he was a face with the league. People were calling him white bread and vanilla pudding and all that shit. But when Anarchy came around and he turned heel, whoo-wee, this guy really knows what he's doing. And I've loved every second of it for the last, 2 years or whatever, with Anarchy and everything that's been going on. It's been phenomenal. I'm so thrilled that he's been doing all that, and I can't wait to see what he does in Season 7. All right, so next up is New Team of the Year. So this is wins, losses, fan reception, etc. This is everything. New Team of the Year. So we've got the Looney Bin, Shazam, Time Machine, The Movie Guys, and The Family. And again, it's got to be Shazam. In my eyes, it's got to be Shazam. They're 5-1. They won the tournament. The only time that they lost was at Spectacular in the title match. Both of them have had amazing fan reactions. I don't see. I mean, yes, you've got like the Looney Bin, which they're pretty cool. Time Machine, they're great. I love the Movie Guys, and even the Family is great. They made it to the finals of the tournament, and they're 6-1. But Shazam has done something special here with their entrances, with their demeanor, with everything, their level of gameplay. I can't give it to anybody other than Shazam. So then we've got Rookie of the Year. And we've got Paul Oyama, Kevin Smets, Paul Preston, Brendan Meyer, and Tom from the Looney Bin. And there are some great options here. Paul Oyama, I'm sure, is a favorite for a lot of people. 6-1, won the singles title, defeated Dan Murrell, defended the title at New York against Jeff Snyder. But then you've got someone like a Paul Preston. He's made it to the quarterfinals of the singles, had victories over Lon Harris, Rachel Silvestrini, and Del Rio. Brendan Meyer's done some great stuff in the singles tournament. He lasted over an hour in the free-for-all. And Tom from the Looney Bin, 4 consecutive perfect rounds, man. He made it into the semifinals of the teams bracket. Fantastic people coming in here. But as I tipped my hand earlier, Kevin Smets is by far the one who has done it for me. 6-1 in Inner Geekdom. He has victories over Lavick, Jay Washington, Chandru. Defeated Mike Kalinowski at Spectacular. Just had a tear, took a stumble, but not much. It's not like Kalinowski destroyed him or something. Yes, Kalinowski won, and a win is a win. But it's not like he destroyed him. He was right there, ready to win, and he screwed himself by screwing up the answer. So he picked himself back up, and he went back out on a tear, and he did what he came there to do, what he was destined to do. Kevin Smets is by far, I don't care what people talk about Paul Oyama. Paul Oyama had a strong start and then fizzled at the end. Whereas Kevin Smets had a strong start, stumbled in the middle, came back even stronger, and won the belt at the end solidifying for me, and hopefully for a lot of you out there, Rookie of the Year. All right, so then we got the Comeback Player of the Year. This is the person who maybe didn't have such a hot Season 5 and came back in Season 6 and really made up for it. So we've got Ben Bateman, Jeff Snyder, Dan Murrell, Mike Kalinowski, and Andrew Guy. And some of these are great choices. I mean, you saw Mike Kalinowski, who was not doing so great, and then came in and became double belted. You saw Andrew Guy, who went 6-1 in teams after going 0-4 in its previous 4 matches. But the person who really is the one that stood out to me was Dan Murrell. He came back from a 3-3 season, won the singles belt, won the teams belt, won the free-for-all, defended both the singles and the teams, and ended the season 6-2. Yes, he doesn't have the singles belt, but he's got the teams belt. And he did so much fantastic stuff this year. It's incredible what he did. And in my eyes, is no question that he should get Comeback Player of the Year. I don't, like I said, some of the other players, they did some great stuff, but Dan freaking Murrell, man, this guy just tore. He ripped and clawed and just climbed his way back out and just made something special out of Season 6. This has been a fantastic season in general, and it's stuff like this that has made it so. So then we've got the Moment of the Year. We've got Ben Bateman wins the singles tourney and the title in the same night at Spectacular. We got William Bibiani goes from number 1 to the end of the free-for-all. Number 3, we've got John Roca shows up sick to play Shazam at Spectacular. See, now this I agree with, that this should be in the Moment of the Year, not in the Entrance of the Year. Number 4, Rachel beats Mike Kalinowski and becomes the double champion. And then Matt Atchity challenges his own win. And some of these have been just spectacular. No pun intended. Ben Bateman winning the tourney and the title in the same night at Spectacular. And then John Roca showing up sick at Spectacular. It was no pun intended. But like Rachel becoming double belted, Bibbs' free-for-all, those were great moments. But when I think Moment of the Year, it's a thing that like sticks with me and it makes me say, whoa. And it's like if they had a WTF Moment of the Year, like if they had like one of each, this would definitely be that one. But I'm picking Matt Atchity challenges his own win because this is something that has never happened before. And I don't know if it'll ever happen again after what happened, because people would probably be like, oh, I'm just going to take my win and walk, you know what I mean? But Matt Atchity challenges his own win, costs him the match, and the aftermath of that being that, like, really the challenge should have been thrown out because it was correct. Like, the question was right, and they legitimately won the match. So they threw, he threw away the win really for nothing. So that, for me, is definitely Moment of the Year. Then we've got a couple more. I think there are a handful more categories left. So first up, we have got Match of the Year. We've got Ethan Irwin versus Dan Murrell at New York, where Murrell gets a perfect game and wins the title. Mike Kalinowski versus Rachel Cushing at the Inner Geekdom Throwdown, where Kalinowski comes back after being down 8 points, and Cushing still wins the Inner Geekdom title in sudden death. We got Mike Kalinowski versus Smets at Collision. They're tied up going into the 5-pointer. Smets misses that Spider-Man question, and Mike hits it going on to play Cushing for the title. Then we've got Mike Kalinowski versus Cushing, Inner Geekdom at San Diego, where Mike Kalinowski wins the Inner Geekdom title. Then we've got the Looney Bin versus Time Machine, which was a close battle. It goes into that 5-pointer, and the Looney Bin wins, upsetting, breaking a lot of brackets. Then we've got Corruption versus the Shire Wolves. Corruption has a big lead in the 5th round, misses the 2 and 3-pointer, and Shire Wolves force them to hit the 5, and Corruption wins the titles, and the Shire Wolves retire after that match. Then number 7, Corruption versus the Founding Fathers 3. Founding Fathers win the titles after scoring 2 perfect round 1s. And then number 8, Shazam versus the Movie Guys. This was an intense back and forth match, and it was I loved it. So I was very happy to see it on there. There was a whole ton of matches on it, 8 matches. It's one of the biggest categories, I think, for the entire award show. And even though there are some fantastic matches here, the one that I picked that I really think exemplifies match of the year is Mike Kalinowski versus Rachel Cushing, Inner Geekdom Throwdown, where Mike Kalinowski comes back after being down 8 points, sends it into sudden death, and Rachel Cushing wins the Inner Geekdom title. This was a fantastic match. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites of all of the matches that they've ever done, not just in Season 6. And that is why it definitely deserves Match of the Year. Kalinowski versus Cushing at the Inner Geekdom Throwdown. Now we've got Team of the Year. So this is overall Team of the Year. So we had heel team, we had babyface team, and now this is the overall Team of the Year. We've got the Shire Wolves, Corruption, Shazam, the Founding Fathers, and the Odd Couple. All of them had some great stuff going on. I mean, the Shire Wolves are a great team. Corruption's a great team. But the one that I really think deserves this, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Shazam. They have taken a lot of awards on my pick, but Shazam, they won their first match, entered the team's tournament to win 4 more. They win the tournament. They go and they only lose very minimally. It was such a close match. They lose a close title match to the Founding Fathers as Spectacular, and they end their season 5-1. I mean, yeah, they didn't win a title, but I think that the stuff that they did as a team, the sheer level of gameplay that they brought on as a team, I think is what really, in my eyes, solidifies them as Team of the Year. You could say, you could give a very good a fight for like the Founding Fathers, who, a 4-1 record, and they won the titles and defended the titles. So, if they win, I definitely wouldn't be, upset. But for me, it's more than just about titles. It's about what you do as a team, and for me, I give it to Shazam. So next up, we've got the Singles Player of the Year. So this is a player in the singles division. And that's what you're taking into account when it comes to this, is their singles career, not their team's career, or any of that stuff. So we've got Dan Murrell, William Bibiani, Ben Bateman, Paul Oyama, and Mike Kalinowski. They've all done some great stuff. Dan Murrell won the title against Ethan Irwin and defended it against William Bibiani. He also won the free-for-all. He did lose his title, though, to Paul Oyama. And he was only 2-1. He only fought 3 matches this year. Then we had William Bibiani. He made it to the finals of the singles tournament. He had a title opportunity against Merle, which didn't go his way. He went from number 1 to the end of the free-for-all, becoming the VIP, getting a free number 1 contender shot because of it. And he ended his season 5-2. Then we've got Ben Bateman, who won the singles tournament and the singles title in the same night. He really has done some great stuff, pulled himself out of the gutter, and went 6-1 this season. Paul Oyama, also 6-1, won the title in his 4th match in his rookie year against Dan Murrell, defended against Snyder. He is the youngest singles champ, but he did lose the title at Spectacular in a pretty... I mean, honestly, it was kind of embarrassing. I think he had like 3 points at the end of the game. And that's a 5-round game to have 3 points at the end. Man, actually, I don't even, now that I think about it, I don't even think it went through all 5 rounds. But 3 points. That you really got to take stuff like that into account. And then you had Mike Kalinowski, defeated Janine the Machine twice, and Ben Bateman. Finished off his season 3-2. Wasn't really anything spectacular, though, about his season. That is why, for me, Singles Player of the Year goes to Ben Bateman. I bet you guys thought I was going to say William Bibiani. Nope. Ben frickin' Bateman. Singles tournament, singles title in the same night, 6-1. This guy plowed through his season and did such a phenomenal job. What he did at Houston was great, and just I loved seeing what he did, and I can't wait to see what he does coming up in Season 7. So Ben Bateman, Singles Player of the Year for me. And then we've got Overall Player of the Year. This is the big one. This is the final one. Overall Player of the Year, Dan Murrell, Rachel Cushing, Ben Bateman, Mike Kalinowski, and William Bibiani. So we talk about like William Bibiani. He played in both divisions, 6-2 in the teams, 5-2 in singles. That's a lot of matches. That's a lot of wins. Won the team's tournament, made it to the finals of the singles tournament. Mike Kalinowski played in all 3 divisions, 3-2 in singles, 3-1 in teams, 2-2 in intergeekdom. It was pretty good score, or pretty good stats for it. The inner geekdom, which is supposed to be his bread and butter, could be a little bit better, but started the year as the champ, lost to Cushing, beat Smets, beat Cushing for the IG title, beat Founding Fathers, beat Shirewolves for the team titles, and became double belted. A lot of good stuff happened for Mike Kalinowski here. His overall season 6 record was 8-5 and with 2 titles. So that's pretty good. Bibiani's overall was 11-4 because I missed that one. So then Ben Bateman played in 2 divisions, 6-1 in singles, 2-2 in teams, won the singles tournament and the team title, or in the singles title in the same night. That was fantastic. Overall season record of 8-3. Rachel Cushing played 2 divisions, started off the year as team champ. 2-1 in intergeekdom, 2-2 in teams, won the intergeekdom title and became double belted. Defended the team's title, won back the team's title, and went 4-3 overall for season 6. And then Dan Murrell played in 2 divisions, 4-1 in teams, 2-1 in singles, won the singles title, won the team's title, defended the team's title and the singles title, won the free-for-all, went 6-2 overall, 2 titles, 2 defenses. This is the guy right here, Dan frickin' Murrell. He has done some amazing stuff this year, and I can't believe how well he has done. He pulled himself up out of the ash from last year. That is why I gave him Comeback Player of the Year. And he's done so well that he has gotten my vote for Overall Player of the Year, and I hope he got your vote as well. So that wraps up this episode of Talkin Schmoedown, man. We covered the draft, we covered the awards, covered some other news that happened. I am so pumped for what's coming. We've got, if you want to have some more Schmoedown stuff, if you're jonesing for some Schmoedown matches, join Patreon. And the Who's in the Studio exhibition match is now available for patrons. I believe right now it's still for the $10 and up. And then this week, within the next few days, I believe, it'll go down to the $5 and up patrons. And then next week, it'll be available for all patrons. So if you're jonesing for some new matches, join Patreon, watch some of the past exhibition matches, and then check out this new Who's in the Studio exhibition match. Also coming up on January 11th, it's a week and a half away, we've got the awards and the draft. So we will see if these picks and mock drafts that everybody's been doing will come to fruition for someone. Then January 25th is the New York live show, and I'm so excited. This one's in Brooklyn, and we've got some great stuff going on there. We've got Mara Kanopik versus Kevin Smets for the Inner Geekdom title, as well as the undercard of Andrew Guy versus Robert Meyer Burnett. So that should be fascinating to see. And then on February 29th in Atlanta, we have a live show with Alex Damon versus Emily Rose Jacobson in an Inner Geekdom match. It's Alex Damon's first Inner Geekdom match. And Ben Bateman versus either William Bibiani or Paul Oyama for the singles title in Ben's first title defense. That Bibiani versus Oyama match will happen somewhere in between these two events, so keep an eye out for that. So this has been one hell of an episode. So much great stuff going on. I was so happy to be able to get on here and talk with you guys about all this great stuff that's going on. So be sure to hop on to Twitter at MovieBlogMerc and give me all your thoughts on all the Schmoedown stuff that we've talked about here, on the awards, on my predictions. Let me know what your predictions are on the draft. If you've done a mock draft or anything like that, let me know what it is, and let me know what you thought of my picks for the draft. And anything else that you got going on. What has been your favorite thing about Season 6? And what are you most looking forward to in Season 7? Let me know all of that great stuff. Again, on Twitter and Instagram at MovieBlogMerc, and on Facebook and YouTube at Merc with Movie Blog. I am Josh the Merc Rainer, and we have been talking Schmoedown. Catch you next time.